My ears were still ringing when I realized the entire room had gone silent. One moment I was standing at attention on the observation deck of the Cathay flagship, listening to Commander Vhesser explain in his usual cold tone why humans did not deserve a seat among the stars. The next moment, his hand had already crossed the space between us and struck the side of my face. I did not see it coming. I only felt the sting, sharp and sudden, and heard the small gasp from the other cadets standing near me. I was Cadet Daniel Hartley, one of only 12 humans allowed aboard this fleet under the new peace agreement between Earth and the Cathay Dominion. We were not soldiers. We were observers, engineers, translators. We were supposed to be harmless, quiet, easy to ignore. I straightened my back and turned my head slowly to face him again. My cheek burned, but I did not raise my hand to touch it. I did not want him to see that it hurt. "Feel better?" I asked. The room went even quieter. Even the other Cathay officers seemed unsure whether to laugh or step back. Vhesser's crest, that ridge of skin above his eyes that changes color with emotion, flashed a deep amber. Among his people, that color meant satisfaction, maybe even pride. He believed he had just taught a lesson. "You are here as a courtesy," he said, his voice flat and mechanical through the translator device on his collar. "A gift from a treaty your species has not earned. Do not mistake kindness for equality." I said nothing back. I only looked into his 4 black eyes and let a small, calm smile form on my face. That smile confused him. I could see it. Cathay soldiers are trained to expect fear after a show of dominance, not amusement. He did not know what he had just started. 3 seconds after his hand touched my face, the lights on the observation deck flickered, just slightly, like a heartbeat skipping. I noticed it because I had spent the last 6 months studying the ship's power systems, memorizing every soft hum and vibration of its engines. Most of the other cadets would not have noticed anything at all. Then one deck below us, every screen on the bridge turned to a soft blue standby glow. Then the main fleet channel, the emergency line meant for admirals only, the one line that could never be jammed or blocked, went dead silent. Not filled with static, just empty, as if something had chosen on its own to stop speaking. Vhesser's crest changed color again, this time to a pale, uncertain gray. "What did you do?" he asked, his voice suddenly tight. "Me," I said, keeping my tone light. "I just stood here and got struck by my commanding officer's counterpart, that's all." His young aide, an officer named Ossenfeld, rushed toward the nearest console, claws tapping quickly across the glowing panel. "Commander," he said, "the Fleet Command Network is refusing every Cathay authorization code. All of it, every ship, at the same time." "That is not possible," Vhesser snapped. "That network runs on our systems, our encryption hour." "Your systems," I said calmly, "but built with human help. Remember the joint engineering project 8 months ago, the one where 7 of our specialists helped rebuild your central network. You wanted our knowledge. You just did not want our respect." The silence in the room deepened. I could almost feel every officer present slowly realizing what was happening across the fleet at once. Weapons refusing to power up, shields refusing to activate, captains unable to speak to each other. All because somewhere deep inside the newly built control systems, a small piece of forgotten code had just been triggered. It was not a weapon. It was not a trick meant to destroy anything. It was something far simpler, something we called the reciprocity clause. It had been written quietly into the technical section of the peace treaty, buried so deep that only a few Cathay engineers had ever seen it, and even they had likely skipped past it, assuming it was standard legal language. The clause was simple. If any accredited human representative faced physical harm from Cathay personnel, every ship connected to that shared network would lock down until the incident was formally reported and resolved by both governments. We had not written it hoping to start a conflict. We wrote it so no one would ever think a moment like this was worth the cost. Vhesser understood that truth, about 4 seconds too late. "Reverse it," he said, stepping closer to me. "Cadet, whatever you have done, undo it now." "I can't," I said honestly. "I'm only a cadet. I don't have access codes. I don't have command authority. I don't have anything except a face that you decided to strike." His crest flickered rapidly, cycling through colors, unable to settle. None of them seemed to match what he was feeling. "Every ship in this fleet," I continued, "is now unable to defend itself. And I believe there are 2 Cathay border patrols and possibly a rival scout unit somewhere near this system. Your entire fleet just became defenseless the moment your hand touched my cheek." "You planned this," he said, his voice sharp with anger. "No," I said, and that part was true. "I only refused to look afraid. That was enough to trigger it. You did the rest yourself." Osenfeld's voice cracked slightly as he read another message from his console. "Commander, Central Command is contacting us. They want to know why the entire Third Fleet just disappeared from the strategic network." Hesser did not answer right away. He was still staring at me, at the calm expression on my face, slowly realizing that decades of believing humans were beneath him had just cost him control of over 200 ships in a matter of seconds. I straightened my collar and stood taller. "For what it's worth, Commander," I said, "I wasn't planning to report this. It would have just been my word against yours, and cadets rarely win those arguments." I glanced toward the darkened screens, the silent communication panel, and the many ships now drifting quietly, waiting defenseless. "But your own ship reported it for you." No one spoke for a long moment. I could almost hear, somewhere far across the galaxy, Earth quietly taking notice. Within minutes, the bridge was filled with frantic officers trying to understand how a simple physical act could cause such a massive shutdown. Engineers scrambled through data logs, searching for a way to undo what had already been done. But the system was designed precisely so that no single officer, human or Cathay, could simply erase it. It needed a formal review. It needed both governments to speak. An hour later, a transmission arrived from Earth Council Representative Ellen Brooks. Her voice was calm, professional, carrying none of the anger the Cathay expected. "We are aware of the situation," she said. "We ask that Commander Hesser provide a full account of what occurred. And we will do the same. Until then, the fleet will remain in standby according to treaty regulations." Hesser's voice, usually so confident, sounded strained as he replied, admitting only that a disciplinary action had occurred against a human cadet. He did not mention that the cadet had done nothing to deserve it. He did not need to. The system already knew the truth. Days passed as officials on both sides reviewed the treaty details. Cathay engineers finally understood the full weight of the code hidden within their own network, a safeguard they had unknowingly built into their own ships. Slowly, the fleet returned to function, but something had changed. No Cathay officer looked at a human cadet the same way again. I was called before a small council of Cathay and human representatives soon after. They asked what happened, and I told them exactly what I remembered, without exaggeration, without anger. I explained that I had not sought conflict. I had simply refused to show fear. Admiral Laura Bennett, one of the human representatives present, looked at me with something close to pride. "You didn't start a war," she said. "You proved a point without lifting a hand." Hesser was reassigned shortly after, sent to a quiet outpost far from any major fleet. Some said it was punishment. Others said it was simply a way to keep him away from cameras and treaties for a long time. As for me, I stayed aboard the flagship, continuing my duties as if nothing extraordinary had happened. But something had shifted in how the Cathay crew treated us. They watched their tone more carefully. They chose their actions with more thought, not because they feared punishment, but because they finally understood something simple. Respect is not given because someone demands it. It is given because someone proves, without violence, without anger, that they deserve it. I never wanted to be part of history. I only wanted to survive one more day among people who saw me as less than equal. But in 3 seconds, without raising a hand, without saying a threat, I had reminded an entire fleet what true strength looked like. It was not about revenge. It was not about proving humans were better than anyone else. It was about proving that dignity does not disappear just because someone tries to take it from you. And sometimes, the quietest response is the loudest lesson of all.